Hi, I'm Michael Beardsley, and today we're talking about the writer's strike. I am not a member of the Writers Guild, but I do know people who are. I am a member of SAG-AFTRA, the Screen Actors Guild, which is also going to be on strike probably very, very soon. I just got an email from the president of SAG, Fran Drescher, yes, the nanny is our president, to authorize us to go to strike. This is not a surprise. The streaming issue, which the writers are talking about, it's the main issue in fact, is also a huge issue with actors. Let me try to explain it. So the way it works now is a writer is paid to write an episode of a TV show, and they get paid for doing that. That generally covers the first airing of the show. After that initial run, whenever the episode would air as a rerun or in syndication, anything like that, they would get a little bit of money. When it went overseas, they would get a little bit of money. When it went to VHS, they'd get some money. DVD, they'd get some money. You get the point. And that was always the way it was done. Now along comes streaming. They get very, very little, while these companies can just have it on their streaming service and it can do massively huge numbers. These shows are hits. These shows are bringing in massive subscribers. Many people can be watching it, but the people who wrote it and the people who acted in it aren't getting their chunk of the pie. And you say like, oh, they got paid already. Why do they want more? Why should streaming be any different? That's basically what the writers are asking for, and what the actors will be asking for, is for streaming to basically emulate the way it has always been done for broadcast cable. And here's a little bonus. Currently on streaming, there's no real way to report how many people are actually watching a show. We've seen recently with shows like Rings of Power, awful show by the way, that they're claiming giant numbers, but there's no real way to confirm it. There are some third parties who kind of try to figure out what the numbers would be, but it's not 100% accurate. If writers and actors were paid residuals based on, let's say, how many minutes of a show they were in were watched, they would have to keep track of all that. And while it might not be made public, if that kind of thing is recorded, it's gonna be public. The other issue which gets a lot of press is that they don't want AI to write the scripts. And a lot of people say like, well, if the scripts are good, who cares who writes it? Well, the scripts are not going to be good.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
See, the thing is, they're not really talking about writing a complete show by AI yet. But you do have to look to the future. And also, what they're saying is they want to write a first draft with AI and then have the writers come in and like fix it, which doesn't really make any sense because it just doesn't. It's not going to be as good. It's going to start off as garbage, and it's going to be rewritten into something that's maybe decent. Why not just write it with a human? It's better. Is that what you want? Shows with plot holes and bad dialogue? Because that's what you're going to get with AI. A lot of the major IPs right now are kind of in the toilet. Marvel's been on a downswing. Rings of Power, Willow, Velma. Star Wars has been very hit or miss. Disney wants to keep redoing their movies but make them worse. You know why that is? It's not mainly because of the writers. It's because of the higher-ups, the producers. The producers that tell the writers what they want. The producers that say, we want these themes in this movie or in this show. It's not the writer's fault when they deliver. I'm going to make a parallel as an actor. They give me a shitty script. I can only do so much with it. I can give a great performance, but at the end of the day, if the story is awful, there's only so much I can do about it. With a writer, they give them some shitty things that must be included in the script and notes. Producers always giving notes to writers. Always change this, add this. We want this to be more inclusive. They can only do so much with it. And if you say like, no, it's the writer's fault, they hired those specific writers. There are talented writers in the Writers Guild, and there are some hacks. Of course, that is always going to be the case in every group. And there are good shows too. House of the Dragon, Andor, Wednesday, Severance, The Boys, Yellow Jackets, Succession, Stranger Things, Ted Lasso, Barry, and there are still shows I haven't had time to watch. By the way, Do you know who they are protesting against? It's a group called the AMPTP, which is the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. If you are against the writers and you say, like, why don't they just go back to work? That means you are supporting Jeff Bezos, Bob Iger, and all these other producers that are greenlighting these garbage projects and just doing it for the money, trying to cash in on your favorite IPs. What else are writers asking for that is so unreasonable according to some people? They don't want the writers' rooms to be cut down. Now, again, I'm not a writer, but I have dabbled in writing, and every time I have collaborated with people, the product that has come out has been better. I'll say one more time, I'm not an expert, so this next one I don't fully understand, but it's minimum weeks employment, which I believe right now what they're trying to do is as soon as the script is done, they're cutting loose writers, as opposed to what they used to do, which would be have the writers around for rewrites as the project goes into production and all that, which is going to make a better project. So what does this mean for you? What does the writer's strike mean to you and your TV watching habits and your movie watching habits? Well, if you were around in the 2007 writer's strike, it's going to be similar. They're going to be on strike for about 3 months. There's not going to be anything written, so there's going to be a gap in some TV shows. There will be some movies that don't happen or are postponed. And the worst of all, some shows might try to press on without writers. And what does that look like? Well, the one that really hurts me that happened in 2007 was Heroes. I love the show Heroes. The first season, amazing. Second season, which was 2007, off to a great start. The writer's strike happened. They wrapped it up like in one episode. The big bad for the season just died. It was terrible. The show never recovered. What else happened? Quantum of Solace, the James Bond movie. Not a great movie. You know why? Because they didn't have a completed script, and that was the writer's strike.
We never really know anyone, do we?
One thing I will tell you, as an actor, don't leave it to your actors to come up with their own lines. Sure, Christopher Guest movies, Curb Your Enthusiasm, there are exceptions to the rule. Most actors are not writers. Even people that think they're amazing improvers, most of them are a bit self-indulgent.
If I'm in a scene with someone who is improvising a bunch of shit I know is useless, I can't pretend that I don't. I see myself get a look on my face just ugh.
Now we're going to take a look at some content creators. Now, full disclosure, I have watched many videos of both of the examples I am going to show. And I watch them, so usually I enjoy their videos. The first one is Drew Goodson. He is kind of all over the map in terms of what he talks about on his videos.
There's this weird thing where people seem to assume everyone in Hollywood is filthy rich just because the industry they're a part of is. But on average, writers are earning less than they did 10 years ago. Writing jobs don't last nearly as long as they used to because seasons are significantly shorter now, and no one wants to keep the writers around once they feel like their job is done, even though it's not. But then you've got these people who are salivating over the idea of spoiled Hollywood writers finally getting a reality check. Good riddance, Hollywood losers. Or should I say Hollyweird? Who even needs human writers anymore? Just have ChatGPT do it.
I'm really happy to see that he actually gets it, because a lot of people online really don't. The second creator I'll talk about is Desbaru. I don't know what that name means, but that's what he goes by. He generally reviews TV shows and movies that have to do with science fiction or fantasy, kind of the stuff I like.
And throughout all of this, you have the timing involved. You could have done this at any time, during the streaming gold rush, but instead, you decided to do it during the streaming collapse.
Okay, now this guy, I don't know if contracts exist in England. Actually, I know that they do. But I don't know if there's some nuance that I'm missing, because he's confused on why they're striking now and not before. Because their contract's up. You don't go on strike when you're under contract, or what would be the point of a contract? This is when they're renegotiating their contract, genius.
Late night shows shut down immediately after the Writers Guild strike was called. Isn't it incredible that on the late night comedy shows, you've got your comedian presenters who, they can't even write their own script. I don't even have a script for these videos. I turn my camera on and start talking.
Yeah, no kidding. What you do is not the same as what late night talk shows do. Frankly, they probably could, but these talk show hosts are in support of the writers, so they're not going to.
Because when you look at their past output for something like Rings of Power, She-Hulk, The Witcher Blood Origin, or Velma, the last thing on my mind is that these people need a pay rise.
Another completely asinine statement. Why? I'll let Drew answer that.
I don't think you realize that a lot of the changes that have been taking place throughout the streaming era, you know, the things the union is striking against, are contributing factors as to why you might not like a show as much as you used to. If there are fewer writers in the room, then the writers they have get stretched thin. If writers aren't paid to be on set while they're filming, then the shows are going to suffer. It blows my mind that because of a handful of crappy remakes you've seen, you think every single writer in Hollywood is some millionaire hack looking down on you from their golden throne of infinite money. No, that's the people they're striking against.
Despero loves Bob Iger. Despero loves Jeff Bezos. Stockholm Syndrome, that's what I say.
Give me the meat and give it to me raw.
This conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
To be fair, if content were to get better, he would probably have a lot less viewers because he really does traffic in criticizing bad shows.
We don't have writers to write the shows, then we can't make any shows, and then we can't make any money off the shows? Why didn't you explain it to me like that in the first place?
Now you're going to say to me, if you support the writers so much, why aren't you out on the picket line with them? Well, I am. Right there, picketing Disney. And now it's time for the standard outro that everyone turns the video off during, in which I say, give me comments, watch my videos, subscribe to my channel, give me thumbs ups, and I have a Patreon. And until next time,